Hello and welcome to a very special European Championships Fantasy Euros
Is that Dario
Fantasy
G?
Threesome podcast.
Dario
Yes,
G.
it is.
Wow.
It's Dario G.
Okay. This used to bang out, about 15 minutes before kickoff at every ground up and down the country for a couple of years there.
Amazing. Love it. Absolutely love it. I'll fade it down.
If you wouldn't mind, yeah.
It was exciting. So exciting that I forgot even what the podcast was called or what I was doing.
But it's been a long time, boys. It's been a long time, isn't it?
Hello, gents. It has been a while. We've had a lovely 2-week break with our families. Well, you've both been off with families. I haven't. But how are you all? Ant, how are you?
Yes, good, mate. Yeah, I went camping last week, so it was down the road, but it was nice just to get away, change of scenery, bit of sunshine for a change. So it was all good. But I did miss you boys. I have to say.
Yeah, it's been emotional, mate. Been emotional not being near you, and not being invited on your family holiday. That's.
I know. How could we not invite you? Is the question? Oh, Mike's left already. He's
Mike's
so excited.
Off. So we should say. Oh, Mike's here. Okay. So just to whet your appetite, then. So Mike, I'll talk to you in a second. But listeners, this is the episode you've all been waiting for because Mike is in charge today. Mike is the knowledge. Me and Ant have purposely not looked at the Euro Fantasies yet. We've got 3 days to go. We don't really understand what's going on. We played it before, but it was a long time ago. So Mike is the knowledge today. We are going to ask him some questions. He's going to remind us how it works, how it differs from normal FPL. And it could go many different ways. Mike is in charge.
Horribly wrong, but Mike in charge, I very much doubt it.
Exactly. He's a safe pair of hands. How are you, Mike?
I'm all right. I've been scratching around. Yeah, I'm good, mate. I've been scratching around with no football for the last couple of weeks, and I am well and truly prepped, I think, for the Euros Fantasy League. So, yeah, excited. Very, very excited. Been doing lots of research.
So we're going to come from this someone who's not too au fait with the situation on Euro Fantasies. How does it differ in terms of setup? Do you still have to pick the same number of players? Can you pick more players or less players from each team? How does it work?
Yeah, so let's talk about setup first of all. So in terms of formation, it's the same variants that you can have on your standard FPL fantasy football. So you've got to have at least 3 defenders, at least I think 2 midfielders, and at least 1 forward. In terms of players you can have from the same team, it varies from round to round. So in the group stages, you can have 3 players from the same team. The second round, the round of 16, you can have 4, then 5 in the quarterfinals from each team, then 6 in the semis, and then in the final you can have up to 8 players from one team. So yeah, obviously as the amount of games drop, then so your ability to have more players increases.
Okay, and what about chips? Do you have triple captain and that sort of thing?
So you do have captains, and you can change your captain, but we'll come to that in a bit mid game week, which is quite exciting. But no, in terms of chips, there are 2 chips. There is the wild card, which you'll be familiar with if you play FPL. So basically, what that allows you to do is for 1 week, you can make as many transfers as you like within your budget. So you have 100 million to spend. So within your budget, you can make as many changes to your team as you like, and you stick with those changes moving forward throughout the tournament. The second chip is the unlimited chip. It's commonly known as the limitless chip, actually, on the official game. But I'm calling it the unlimited chip. So limitless allows you to change your squad for 1 match day only. So it's a bit like one of the chips we had on FPL, which was free hit.
Free hit, yeah.
The difference being there's no budget. So for that 1 game week, your team is not only you can have as many players as you want from as many teams as you want. There are no budget restrictions either.
Wow.
And then it reverts back to your original team the following week.
Okay. Well,
so yeah, those are your 2 chips.
And you said you can change your captain halfway through a game week. It's
a little complicated. So you can change your captain mid game week. You can change your captain after the first match day of each game week.
Wow.
So my recommendation would be you can also change your captain if your captain's already played. So my recommendation would be pick a captain from the first game of the first game week And then if you don't like what you see, you can then change it up. And you can also substitute players in before they've played.
This sounds like your dream, Mike. This sounds
a lot of changes to be made
for the Tinkerman like you. This sounds like an absolute dream.
Yeah. So you've got to stay on top of that, really. But yeah, just a word to the wise, really. First match of each game week, have a captain pick for that game, because then you've got something to work off as a base.
So if my player has played and got sent off, can I bring on someone from my bench?
Yes.
For him.
No, you can bring any. Can you bring anybody on from your bench? Manual substitutions between match days. You can make as many subs within your squad as you like. So we know that.
That's between, yeah.
Yeah.
But if they've already played, I mean, can you change them then?
No, I don't think you can. No,
that would be a bit controversial. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And you've been looking at the countries and the players. You've done all the research, so you're flying blind. And we'll go through them country by country, and I can provide with my wealth of knowledge a little statistic, a little fact about that country. You can provide the knowledge about the teams, and Ant can sit back and listen.
I can provide the looks, boys. What can I say?
Okay, well, I mean that's perfect for those listening along. So I've it's not a comprehensive study, but what I will tell you is a little bit about each team's form going into the tournament, and perhaps some key players you might want to be looking at.
And are there any more differences? Obviously, the substitutions thing is, I'm still not 100% clear on that. You can bring in, you can swap players over if they haven't played yet.
Yes, you can. Yes,
but your captain you can change.
You can change, but only after the first match day.
Okay. And what about come the knockout stages? Do I get any free transfers? So say the group stages are done. I'm going to the last 16.
Yeah. Okay. So before the tournament starts, obviously the transfers are unlimited. During the group stage, you can make 2 per match day.
2. Okay.
2
per match day. 2 per round.
2 per round, of that match day. So obviously the first round is the first round. It's the tournament. It's the group round.
Yeah.
But the first round of matches, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So England's first match, for example, and then England's second match. In between those, you can make two changes.
Yeah.
When you reach the last 16, and we've lost some of the teams, reminder, folks, that it's quite a lot of teams go through. It's you've got the top 2 from each group, but you've also got the top 4 third place qualifiers.
Yeah.
So you've got to be pretty awful to go out during the group stages, I would suggest.
Well, we'll try.
Yeah, absolutely. So we lose 8 of the 24 teams out of the group stages. 16 go through. At that point, you all get a wild card anyway.
Okay, that's
so bear that in mind with your wild card.
Yeah.
You then get 3 changes before the quarterfinals, 5 before the semi-finals, and 5 before the finals.
It kind of makes sense to use this unlimited budget one then in the group games where you have potentially got more strong teams playing weak teams.
Yeah,
in my head.
Yeah. There's a lot of talk about that online. Personally, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I might hold on to mine because I think I might use.
We'll catch up in a week, mate.
Yeah, I might use the limitless actually for the final.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you won't be able to get a starting 11, I suspect, from the 2 teams come the final. So
it's interesting tactic.
Yeah, that's my thought process there. But hey, we'll see.
Like that a lot. Okay, so shall we go country by country then?
Let's do it.
We'll start with Group A. I'll give you a little fact about them. So the first country, Group A is Italy, Switzerland, Turkey, and Wales. And the first country we're looking at is Italy, which is we know very well. Being
your motherland,
part Italian, the fatherland. In truth, but in 1454, they played a game of human chess where the winner was rewarded with the prettiest girl in town, as in they married her. So two fathers played chess, and two men played chess, and the winner won the prettiest girl in town in 1554. That's how Italy does marriage. Mike, tell us about their squad.
Down with that as a concept. Yeah, okay, let's talk about Italy. So they won all 10 games in terms of their qualifying. What you've got to bear in mind is in the build-up to this tournament, not only because of the delay of a year, not only have they had 10 qualifying games to get here, they've also since played some Nations League football, and they've played some World Cup qualifiers. So there'll be the odd stat from each of those. But if we look at just their qualifying, they won all 10 of their games, Italy. It was comprehensive. And this might surprise you to know, they're the second highest scorer of all qualifiers for the tournament in terms of their qualification group.
That does surprise me. When we think of Italy and we think clean sheets.
Yeah.
I didn't ever. Have they kept 7 clean sheets or 8 clean sheets on the trot? I think I saw Mike as well. They're defensively very sound at the moment as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they're solid. So, they look decent. In terms of options at the back, it's difficult. You've got an aging squad, so perhaps from set pieces, Chiellini or somebody like that might be an option. But I think him and Bonucci, they're still hanging around the squad. It's not totally clear as to what their back four will look like. Palmieri of Chelsea is vying for a slot. But I'd look at Donnarumma, Gianluigi Donnarumma, who's of AC Milan. He's only 22. If they haven't come up with various chants to the tunes of Donna Summer songs, I'm going to be disappointed. But Donnarumma, I would look at him in terms of a goalie. He's being linked with PSG at the moment. Interesting stat for you. Gianluigi, he's one of only 2 players in Serie A with that name. You'd think it's quite a common Italian name, but only him and Buffon.
Yeah, I was going to say Buffon, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. Anyway, actually, in terms of, it feels weird saying this in terms of Italy, actually, I'd only look at Insigne. He's a definite starter. He's the 3rd highest amount of shots taken during qualification of all players for the tournament. He's got the 3rd highest shot total in all top 5 European leagues this season. Forgive me, not just qualifying, but actually in domestic football as well. He's got 5 assists in his last 6 international games. He scored 17 goals in Serie A this season. So I would look at Insigne. And what's he costing?
8.5, which actually is not too bad, is it? Just having a quick look there, some of the bigger names, the 10, 11 mark. So he could provide good value for money there in midfield.
And what about Donnarumma?
He is 5.5. Again, so there's a lot of goalkeepers at 4.55 mark, so he is quite high. But as we've just spoken about, they're not conceding goals, are they? So he may well be one to look at, budget depending.
And the teams in their group, Switzerland, Turkey, and Wales, you'd expect Italy to win those. Donnarumma is literally, I haven't thought about the Euros on purpose because I know, Mike, you're in control of this, and I wanted to listen to you as the knowledge on this. But Donnarumma is the only player that I've even thought about, and he'll definitely be in my team. Donnarumma.
Okay.
Do you want to skip on to the next?
Yeah. Cool. Let's go to the next team.
He does like a punch, Donnarumma. I like that about him. So next team is Switzerland. Do you want a fact about Switzerland?
Yes, please.
Switzerland is there are enough nuclear fallout shelters to accommodate its entire human population due to a law in Switzerland that requires everybody to have access to a shelter in their building or nearby. And the Swiss military actually keeps fully stocked artillery bunkers disguised as quaint country homes in the middle of populated villages. Thank you, Switzerland. Very prepared.
I'll sleep better tonight for knowing that. Thanks for that, mate.
Well, you don't live in Switzerland, so...
Yeah, but just knowing that fact, I'll just sleep at ease.
Oh, okay. If I continued the fact much longer, you might have just fallen asleep then.
Well, indeed.
Let's talk about Switzerland.
Okay.
Without wanting to reuse a joke from a previous pod, there are holes in the Swiss defence for sure. But they qualified from a poor group. This is their golden generation, really, with the likes of Shaqiri.
Shaqiri.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we've gone early.
Yeah, he was injured throughout the whole of qualifying, Shaqiri. So it's really difficult to know. But in the last 3 internationals that they've played, he has featured, and he's had 2 assists in them. He's a big man. He's the little man for the big tournament, I think. So Shaqiri worth a look at how much, Ant?
7 million.
Oh, really? See, I like the look of that.
Yeah,
that's where I think there will be goals.
He is their highest priced midfielder, along with Zuba.
Yeah, I've had success with Shaqiri at previous tournaments in this game, so I would definitely look at him. The only other one that I'd flag up for Switzerland is young man by the name of Ricardo Rodriguez. He's a defender. He's a left wing back. He's on all their set pieces and he's on their penalties. So even despite having Shaqiri in that team, he's their set piece man. And on pens, you don't get many defenders on pens.
How much is he?
5.5.
5.5.
Again, highest priced, and that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? If he's on set pieces, so could be value for money though.
Yeah. I like. Okay.
So
who's next?
Let's move on to Turkey. I should warn you that Switzerland was the longest fact, so don't panic. Turkey is the world's
cheese.
Oh dear. Oh gosh.
Gone early on player or cheese. Turkey is the world's largest producer of hazelnuts, making 72.9% of the world's supply.
Well, there you go. Well, they are my tip as dark horse. It's always a dark horse.
Oh.
They are my tip for dark horse of this tournament. They weren't until I started doing my research, but I'm impressed by some of these stats. Let's start by telling you that they had the best defense of all qualifiers in qualifying. In the 10 qualifying games, they conceded a total of just 3 goals, lads.
Wow.
Yeah. They also were in a qualifying group with France, who they beat and drew with in their 2 games.
Really?
Yeah.
That is good knowledge.
Yeah. Now, add to that qualifying. Now, granted, qualifying was some time ago now. Add to that, in their last 6 of their last 9 games, they've scored 3 or more goals. So they're a little bit fruity up front as well. And in those 6 games, featured wins against or draws against Germany, the Netherlands, and Croatia. Turkey, where have they come from? Unbelievable.
There could be some value here, boys. I'm just looking at defensively. Their highest priced defenders are only 5 million. Sanucci of Leicester, as we know well from FPL.
No, I'd be careful over Lord Farquhar, whatever his name is from Shrek. I'd be very careful with Sanucci because there's a very good chance from what I've been reading, he actually won't start. He's vying at centre back. So Kabak and him and another. It's going to be 2 of 3, and he's definitely not nailed on. So Kabak of Liverpool there. So Sanucci, I wouldn't necessarily be backing him. I know there's a temptation because we know him.
Yeah, Kabak 4.5 million.
I would look at Zeki Selik. Selik there?
Yep, 4.5 million.
Brother of Tom. Yeah, he's a budget defender. He's a right back. He's got 3 assists and 2 goals for Lille this season in a championship winning team. So I would look at him.
Just very quickly, sorry, Mike, to jump in there.
Sure.
In terms of early differentials, if we're going to go early on differentials, just 1% have currently selected him. I know we haven't actually started yet, but he could be one to look at. Cheap and low ownership.
Yeah, I know. I like Selik a lot. A couple of other players, obviously, because I am tipping them, and I'm going to have all 3 of these in my team. Yilmaz scored a hat-trick against Holland recently. Scored 15 goals in League and is on pens and direct free kicks for Turkey. So
8 million for him.
8 million. Okay, so that's a bit pricey. People, they know their stuff at the fantasy football. The other one is Calhanoglu. Now he's on all indirect set pieces. He's had 10 assists for AC Milan, and of the top 5 European leagues, he's made the most key passes of any player. Any player. You've got players like De Bruyne and Salah and whoever. Fernandes. No, Calhanoglu. How much is he?
8.5, 1% ownership.
Again, they know their stuff.
God, Mike, you're getting some great advice here.
I'm feeling nauseous about the fact that Mike has any idea what he's talking about. Part of me thinks this is a huge bluff because I've not looked at any countries or anything because I thought I'm going to trust Mike, and now I'm in an awkward position where I might trust Mike.
Yeah, I'm honestly, boys, I'm absolutely. I'm up for the cup. I cannot wait. Right, let's move on then to the last country in Group A, and that is Wales.
Yes, so Wales.
David Brooks.
You want some news about Wales?
Very, very brief news. Yep.
It is very brief. More. I mean, you asked me to find a fact about each country.
No, I'm just conscious it's 24 teams, and we've done 3 in 20 minutes.
Okay. More castles per square mile than anywhere else in the world. Thank you.
It's a great stat.
Love that, Phil.
Wales consistently inconsistent, to use an Anthony Kellettism.
The unexpected, boys.
There we go. Very few to pick here. What I would say is I'd warn you off Gareth Bale. Okay, and I know that a lot of people might be looking at him. How much is he, Ant?
9.5.
9.5 million for a player who scored 1 goal in his last 10 starts for Wales. Not for me, Clive.
Tough group as well.
If you're looking for a nailed-on starter, and let's face it, Wales are likely to be counter-attacking. If you look at that group, it's quite a strong group. Daniel James might be worth a look. He's had their most goal involvements in recent times, and he is worth
6.5 million.
All right. And if you're looking for a cheap defender, you might want to look at Neco Williams. 1 goal and 1 assist in his total of 9 caps for Wales.
Neco. I was wondering at what point your pronunciation would go AWOL on the Euros.
Nico.
4.5 million, boys.
4.5 million. So
or for the same price, you could get Chris Mepham.
You could.
I love Chris, but I would perhaps maybe look at Nico.
How much is David Brooks?
Let me just have a quick look. He is, I think, 6.5 million.
Now, my worry is actually Brooksy is actually not nailed on to start.
Because he's vying with Dan James, isn't he?
We've got Gareth Bale, Ramsey, Wilson, James, all ahead of him. Joe Allen.
It's Ramsey and Wilson. It'll be competing for. I think Dan James definitely starts, as does Bale, but it's one of 3 there for the remaining spot.
They haven't got a terrible attack, have they, Wales?
No.
They could surprise a few. It's just their defense is a bit championship.
Can you see them getting through that group?
No,
not sure I can.
No, I think that looks like Turkey, Italy 1-2 for me, with Switzerland coming up 3rd. I think Wales finished bottom of the group.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'd go with Mike on that one.
Let's move on to Belgium then, the country whose supermarkets have on average over 30 different types of waffle.
Wow.
Belgium.
Nice. All right. Quick one on Belgium then, really. Belgium, bookies' favourites along with France to win it. And if you look at the stats, they back that up. Most goals in qualifying, the joint best defence in qualifying as well. So they're proficient at both ends. Really, really difficult though to call their lineup. So in terms of actually fantasy football, there are so many options for them. If you look at kind of the wing back options, it's going to be 2 from 3 of Mounier, who has always done well at tournaments for me in this game. Torgan Hazard and Castagna of Leicester as well. It's going to be 2 of those 3. So I'm reluctant to opt for any of them in case they miss out. Similarly, in terms of attacking options around Lukaku, obviously you've got De Bruyne there as long as he's fit.
He's injured. He's going to miss the first game, I think. Isn't he?
Miss the first game. Is okay. So that maybe opens up for one of these. You might want to look at these. But you've got Tielemans, Dendoncker. You've got Hazard, who hasn't actually been starting consistently for Belgium, which is quite the fall from grace for him. And Dries Mertens as well, who's been a great performer for them at the international stage. So what I would say about Belgium is, they've got some great players. Lukaku looks the obvious one to me. He's my tip for top scorer for the tournament. Outside of that, good players. If they're going to play, they're going to score you points, but they're not nailed on to play. That's the problem you've got.
The thing is with Belgium is that in their group they've got Denmark, Finland, and Russia. You'd imagine they should beat all of those. And Lukaku is just going to. I mean, he's on fire. He's had a great season, and you're going to have to pick a few premiums. And I think he might be
11 million, boys. 11 million. He's
11 million
on the. But I mean, I think the people who have entered the game so far, Mike, would agree with you. 43% ownership already.
Wow.
Okay. They've got to rapidly cut them all though, because they've got so few options in terms of through the middle up top. If he gets injured, they're in trouble.
Don't worry, they've got Christian Benteke at 7 million to come off the bench.
Okay. Let's look at Denmark then, the country whose people eat on average just 42 sausages a year.
I mean, have they even worked that out?
I just come with you. I just come with knowledge. Just accept it and move on.
It's good that you use an average stat for Denmark, because that's exactly what I've written here. Bang, average. That's another Anthony Kelletters in there. I'm going to give you 2 players, one that I think you might want to look at and one that I would steer clear of. Okay, so the first one is Jonas Wind, and I'm expecting him to find this tournament a breeze.
What?
Yeah, 3 goals and 1 assist in his last 4 games for Denmark. He's also got 15 goals and 7 assists, albeit in the Danish league domestically this season. Jonas Wind, how many pennies is he going to cost us?
He's actually one of their lowest priced at just 6 million.
Oh, there you go, gang. There's a little nugget for you.
Ownership. Mike. So
on your bench, have him on your bench.
Okay, nice.
One I would definitely warn you off though is Eriksen, Christian Eriksen, formerly of this parish, now with now in Italy with Inter. He's gone right off the boil, lads. He has no assists this season in 34 starts for Inter.
Wow, not
a single assist.
That's crazy.
And I imagine he's a lot of money, and people will be looking at him.
Yeah, he's 9 million. So 5% ownership at the moment, but so it's pretty low. But yeah, so it's still early days, isn't it? But yeah, I have to agree with you on that. The stats don't lie.
So all I'm here really to do is to dispel some of these myths. So, Bale is one that I'm warning you off, and so is Eriksen. So they're both nailed on to score a hat-trick in the first game.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's move on to a country which has no public payphones, and that is Finland.
Finland. We've been there. Beautiful place.
We have. Me and been there. We went to Helsinki, and we went to Suomenlinna, the little island. It was beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, it was good times. Well, they scraped through qualifying, absolutely scraped through qualifying. I would steer clear of all Finland players of the teams that have made it there. They've absolutely limped through. So they only scored 16 goals in qualifying. That includes their playoffs as well. If I tell you that Teemu Pukki scored 10 of those 16 goals,
wow, 7 million for him.
Yeah, and do you know what? Pukki is facing a fitness test as well. So
you've got to imagine that Jari Litmanen's still available somewhere.
It'd be great to have him back. How much is Pukki?
He's 7 million, mate. So just having a look at all of their even their bigger assets. I mean, the highest priced midfielder is Camara at 6. Their highest priced defender is 4.5 million.
Sami Hyypiä.
Sami Hyypiä, yeah, he's sat there on 4.5 million. Yeah, so I think the kind of the prices kind of back that up, Mike. They're not expected to be hitters at all in this tournament, are they?
No, and I'd love them to come and do a Cameroon of Italia 90 for us, but I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately. They've just, I mean, they're just glad to be there. I think, Jamaica of 2002 or whatever it was. They're making up the numbers. Sadly, I feel, lads.
Okay,
bad times for them.
Let's move on to the last team in Group B then, which is Russia, and this actual fact is one of the most interesting facts I find. The height of an adult male in Russia has gone from the average height has gone from 5'4" to 5'8" in the last 50 years.
Oh. Is that male? Did you say
male? Yeah,
that's right. I was going to say because I know Ant likes a petite female.
Does like a petite female? Yes.
Under 5 foot. Anyway, and over 18.
Over 18, yeah.
All right, let's talk about Russia then. So actually, they've been surprisingly prolific during qualifying. Only Italy and Belgium scored more goals than them. They lost twice to Belgium in qualifying, but apart from that, we're unbeaten. Couple of starmen for them, the same starman they've had the last kind of 4 or 5 years. Alexander Golovin will be on all their set pieces and will provide the creativity. And then you've got, is it Daizuba, the big fella? Big giant man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 9 goals and 5 assists in 10 qualifying games. So had a really decent record at qualifying.
He looks like he should live at the top of a beanstalk.
Yeah.
He does.
He looks quite old as well. 8.5 million for him.
And what about Golovin?
7.5.
Okay, I'd like the look at Golovin. I think that represents really good value in midfield. There's a lot of value in midfield if you can find it. There's a lot to be found.
Russia do play Belgium first, though, don't they?
Maybe not a great first pick.
Yeah, maybe for the second round. I'd also look at just a mention for Mario Fernandes, who is by far and away the most advanced wing back that you will see in this tournament. He officially is playing right wing back, but by all accounts he plays kind of inside right forward. 3 goals in 6 his last 6 appearances for Russia. Fernandes is worth
5.5.
Okay,
probably one of the least Russian names I've ever heard play for Russia.
Mario Fernandes, yeah.
So we live in a multicultural world. That's wonderful.
We certainly do.
Okay, so let's look at Group C then, which brings us to Austria, where in 1818 Joseph Madisberger invented the sewing machine.
Well, there you go. I've just written in big letters, unconvincing. There's only one player I'm going to look at here, lads. And that is Alaba, who has now just joined Is it Bayern he's just joined? Or has he just left Bayern?
Yeah, he may have just left Bayern.
He's at one of the elite European clubs anyway. He's on all their set pieces, and he's had a goal involvement every other game in his 79 caps for Austria. So he's the only player that I would be recommending.
Yep, 5.5 million, 17% ownership. So I already think people have kind of cottoned onto that. And North Macedonia in their first game, so it could be one to look at.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that group is fairly weak. You got Austria, Netherlands, who are not the Netherlands that they were, which is a shame because I got them in the sweepstake. Austria, Netherlands, North Macedonia, and Ukraine. You kind of think, well, potentially 3 of those teams are going through to the knockout rounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, Netherlands then, Mike.
Yeah.
The country where in the 16th century they developed the world's first orange carrots. Carrots were previously only available in a pale yellow or a purple color. There you go, 16th century.
These stats are insane.
It's just off the top of my head, boys. Just off the top of my head.
Of course.
Well, look, 2 big losses in the last 12 months or so for the Netherlands. First of all, no Ronald Koeman anymore. Despite him not necessarily pulling up trees at Barcelona, he was doing a terrific job with a good group of young players there at the Netherlands. Being replaced by Ronald de Boer, who has...
Is it Ronald or is it Frank?
It's Frank. Who has a reputation for playing quite defensive football. Koeman was a lot more dynamic in terms of his formation, in terms of his style of play. We saw he wasn't particularly successful, De Boer, at Crystal Palace, and he's not been particularly well received by the Carrot Munchers. Also, Van Dijk, obviously, is a big loss for them. They have got options at centre back. It's probably actually where their biggest strength in terms of cover. But the only guaranteed centre back to start, I would suggest, is De Ligt, who is a threat from set pieces.
Yeah.
In terms of who plays alongside him, I think De Vries, from what I read, will get the nod.
Not Ake?
Not Ake. No. I think De Vries will get the nod alongside De Ligt.
Okay. Both 5.5 million, boys.
Okay. In terms of midfield, it's very, very competitive, and it's difficult to know quite who plays where. But I would just give a little shout out to Wijnaldum, who is just about to seal his move to PSG. They play him in a much more advanced role, the kind of advanced role that he was playing for Newcastle before he signed for Liverpool. So he might be worth a look, and he is a nailed-on starter, Wijnaldum. So how much is Wijnaldum?
He's 8 million, by far the highest priced midfielder. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Currently, so there was 6% ownership, so fairly low still.
Okay.
In that group, though.
Yeah, it's a very winnable group for them, actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've also got Memphis Depay, who is another one who looks like he's going to be on the move to a big club. He's had a sensational season at Lyon again this season. Didn't really work out for him at United, but has proved to be quite a player. But I guess he's pricey.
10 million, mate. 10 million.
Yeah, tricky.
19% ownership for him already, so already quite high.
All right, and then you've got young lad Dumfries, named presumably in the Brooklyn Beckham style, as to where his Dutch parents conceived him. Dumfries, 2 goals and 6 assists for the Netherlands. A very attacking right back.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
how much is Dumfries? 5.5. Okay, again, there's some value there.
Money there. There really is. 1% ownership. Nice early differential there, boys.
Nice.
Okay, Mike, I hope you've been digging for facts, because North Macedonia are next. North Macedonia. Do you want to know anything about North Macedonia?
Anything at all, please.
Mother Teresa.
Oh,
a dear friend. God rest her soul. Mother Teresa, friend of the show. She's friend of everyone. I don't think she annoyed anyone. She was born in Skopje in 1910.
Okay.
Great news. Thanks for that.
Great news. It is. Well, it's not really news, Ant. It's 111 years old news.
Better late than never, mate.
Okay, look, they lost all 4 games against the qualified teams that they played against in qualifying. So they came through the playoffs. They did, however, because
they lost all their games in qualifying.
No, they lost all their games against the teams that have qualified for the tournament.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
It's all right. But they did recently pull out a shock win against Germany in World Cup qualifying, which kind of came out of nowhere. There's only one player that I would look at, and you will know him of Leeds, Alioski. defender, but he's had 18 goal involvements in 41 games for North Macedonia, and he's their penalty taker.
And he's only 4.5 million.
Yeah, so there you go.
He might chips.
He might sneak you a pen.
You're not getting him for clean sheets, are you? Really?
No, you're not. You know, he's a squad player, but I would say at 4.5, he's worth having on your bench for sure.
I'm not saying. Well, I am. I think it's lazy journalism that you've only gone for Alioski from North Macedonia.
Really? I mean, okay.
I'm just
lazy journalism. That's been at this stage. Lazy journalism. Wow.
Oh wow. You are a brave man. Thank God you're related. Right, moving on.
Okay, next country is the final one in that group, and that is Ukraine.
Well, I just threw my notes away. I was so cross. Right, Ukraine, yes.
Well, you don't want anything...
okay. Let's have your facts. Yeah. You've not been lazy in your research. Go on.
No, the third largest exporter of grain in the world.
Thank you.
I'm appreciating the dead air that follows every fact. I tell you.
Yeah. Ukraine were unbeaten in qualifying. They actually topped their group. A group that contained Portugal. Okay. So decent qualification record. Couple of options for you. Zinchenko, we know him at Man City. He does like to get forward for them. 5 goals in his 38 appearances for the Ukraine. But this is my little jewel in the crown for Ukraine. And I'm hesitating slightly because I don't know how to pronounce it. Malinovskyi. 8 goals and 12 assists this season for Atalanta. And if you look to the top 5 leagues in Europe this season, he's had the most assists per game.
Okay.
The most assists per game.
Incredible. 7 million. That's all he'll set you back. And he looks like he's got a Lego head. If that helps.
That does help. I'm a big fan of the old Lego hair, apart from Arteta. What's his name again, Mike?
Malinovskyi. Ovskyi.
Okay. Cool. Okay. That's a good tip. Good tip.
How much is he?
7 mil.
Whoa. I like that one, lads.
Value there again.
Yeah.
Some great tips coming in here. Who's next?
Group D. This is Croatia, Czech Republic, England, and Scotland.
England.
We'll start with Croatia. And whilst we're doing pronunciations, the Croatian Slavoljub Penkala created the mechanical pencil in 1906, and then, not just happy with creating the first mechanical pencil, he went on to invent the fountain pen.
No end to his talents.
Big creativity in Croatia.
Well, ironic because I don't think they're going to score many goals. I'm not sure. I think they're a bit of a spent force, Croatia. You can look at Modric. I know he's the obvious go-to. He does play in the number 10 role for Croatia, so he plays a lot further forward. He plays sort of more of an 8 for Real Madrid.
And he is a spitting image of our other brother, Mike.
Yeah, he is. So he might be worth a look. But I mean, I don't know if you boys saw the Champions League semi-final against Chelsea. But he looked very much a spent force in that game, really off the pace. So whether he's still cut out for tournament football, with the games coming thick and fast, I'm not so sure. But he will be playing in a more advanced role. Worth a look.
8.5 mil.
8.5 mil. Okay. The other big name that you would normally look at is Perisic. He's their free kick taker. He's had the most Croatian goal involvements. He could also end up playing through the middle, Perisic. So him of the very crazy mohawk. I don't know if he still sports that mohawk, but
doesn't look like it according to his little picture.
Okay.
He's one of those
as well.
8.5. He's one of those players that in tournaments just impresses.
Yeah.
Yeah, he always seems to be. He doesn't look like he's going to do much, but he just runs his socks off and inevitably puts in good performances.
Yeah. What interesting in terms of who they are going to play up front. I mentioned that they might play Perisic through the middle. I think the striker spot is going to go to Petkovic, who's had 14 goals and 11 assists at Dinamo Zagreb this season. He's also got 6 goals in his 15 caps. Over the likes of Kramaric, it looks like he's going to get the nod. So you might want to look at Petkovic.
He's only, you say about him being a starter, he's actually the lowest price of their 4 attackers on the games, only 6 million. Kramaric 6.5, Budimir 7, and Rebic is also 7 million.
Okay, well, there you go. Well, that is some value. So don't necessarily get drawn into someone like Kramaric, who, despite failing at Leicester, actually has gone on to have a really good career. Petkovic, I think, would be the pick. At the back, Lovren is doubtful with an injury, so steer clear of him. I know often we go to players. I mean, he's the best defender in the world. I think he declared himself as that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he did.
One more you want to look at potentially is Borna Barisic of Rangers. He's a left back who really likes to bomb forward. 14 assists and 5 goals for Rangers this season. I appreciate this is the Euros and he's not going to be coming up against Dundee United, but might be worth a look.
4.5 million for him.
I would counter that though by saying that Croatia failed to keep a clean sheet in any of their last 10 games. So
really,
yeah.
Okay, let's move on from Croatia and look at the Czech Republic, where in 1843, Jakob Christoph Rad, that's an interesting three-part name. He invented the. Have a guess. What did he invent?
Don't know. Sorry, a knitting needle.
Chocolate.
Close. Anthony's close. The sugar cube.
Okay. Look. I've got not a lot to say about Czech Republic. I think they're a bit of an oddity. Souček and Koufal, there's some lazy journalism for you right there.
I was expecting it.
Souček in terms of set pieces. They're another team that look like they're on the wane. Rakitic has retired from international football, so he's not there this season. Nedved and Koller have long since gone. And when I say long since, I think about 20 years ago.
Rakitic doesn't feel that long. Rakitic was Croatian anyway, so he couldn't have played for Czech Republic.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's valid. Yeah, well, he certainly retired from playing for the Czech Republic.
Yeah, very true.
Long ago. So yeah, not a lot to say on the Czechs, guys. I just think they're a bit of a nothing team, really.
Check, please. Okay, now we move on to the country who invented. Well, they made the first shoelaces in the world in 1790, and that is England.
Oh, I'm not going to do an England coverage. Come on, guys, we all know our stuff, right? I mean, Harry Kane, pop him in.
Yeah.
Mason Mount.
Mason Mount, Stones.
Grealish looked
if he starts
pretty good the other night, didn't he? But there's still rumours he may not do. But I mean, it's when you got Mount, Grealish, Foden in there. Gareth's got a hard job to pick, but I'm sure he'll go with the defensive options as he loves to.
I mean, listen to our last 42 episodes if you want some guidance on English players.
Yep, fair enough.
Moving on.
Okay, so the last country in the group is the country that is home to the world's tallest hedge, Scotland.
Okay. Again, quickie on Scotland, really, because they feel like a bit of a nothing team. I would look at John McGinn in terms of the qualifiers, albeit the qualifiers were some time ago now. He played 8 of the qualifiers and he scored 7 goals. Loves a long-range shot for Scotland. A quick word for the 2 left-backs that you might be looking at in the Scotland team. So you've got Tierney and you've got Robertson. Both will play, but Robertson is the one that will get forward, and Tierney will actually start left back of a 3 central defence. So Robertson, you would assume from that, is the most creative. However, in his 43 caps for Scotland, 1 assist.
Wow, really? 5.5 million is as well.
Yeah, there you go.
That's expensive, isn't it? How much is Tierney?
Is 5.
Okay, and how much is McGinn?
He is 7.5, so he's their highest priced midfielder.
I think that this is the year of Che Adams. I think he's going to score.
Mate. One of only 3 strikers in their squad.
Yeah, he's going to score 3 goals in this tournament
against England.
Possibly, but he's going to score 3 goals.
Okay, you heard it here first.
So yeah, at that price, he's worth a look. Should we move on to Group E, which is Poland, Slovakia, Spain, and Sweden? We'll start with Poland, who invented both windscreen wipers and condoms, but not at the same time.
That's Poland, yeah?
Poland, of course. Okay.
All right. So Poland, as I've already mentioned, I think alongside one other team, had the most clean sheets in qualifying. So, yeah, along with Belgium, most clean sheets. I guess there are some names that come up from previous tournaments. So let's talk about Lewandowski. I mean, the bloke is a machine. He's a goal machine. It'll be a lot of money on the game, I presume, man.
11.5 million.
Yeah. Okay. So,
I believe.
So pricey alongside Milic. And Milic, him of the blonde ponytail, looks like something out of Lord of the Rings. He's up top of the side alongside. They do play 2 up front.
He's 8 million.
He's 8 million. I would avoid him. So it's tempted to go for him because he's a player we maybe recognise from previous tournaments. He's only scored 1 in his last 10 games for Poland.
Okay.
So and it's actually under fire from the fans from what I read. So maybe avoid him. I'll tell you the player I'd look at in Poland, lads, if you're looking for a little bit different, is Zielinski. Zielinski this season had 10 goals and 13 assists for Napoli, and he's on their set pieces as well. We know that Lewandowski is good in the air. So Zielinski for me is definitely going to go in my team.
He's a midfielder.
Yes, he is. Plays plays in the number 10 role.
Only 7 million.
Whoa, is he really? That's a bargain.
Oh, he really is.
Yeah. See how excited I'm getting about this, lads. I see how excited I am.
Love it.
Yeah, that's a bargain. That is an absolute bargain. Get on him. And when I say get on him, not you two, please, because I want to beat you in the league. A couple more just to mention. Rybus at wing back is strong going forward by all accounts.
5 mil.
5 mil. And the other one, if he starts, and it looks like he will, he's a real threat from set pieces. Hellick of Barnsley.
Oh yeah, I had him in my gaffer team this year.
4.5.
He scored against us, I think.
Oh, of course, who didn't?
4.5, is he?
Yeah.
Again, he's a player I definitely have on my bench. 4.5, that's cheap.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up then is Slovakia, where the oldest ever child's toy was found. It was a bronze 4-wheeled cart dating back, and if you believe carbon dating, to 1600 BC.
Well. Look, their go-to guy for many years has been, and he continues to be, Hamsik. He was their top scorer in qualifiers, but only scored 3 in 10. So Slovakia, one I'd be a little bit nervous about taking any players from, in all honesty.
8 million. He's the highest priced midfielder.
I think that's pricey.
Yeah.
They've priced him based on his facial hair. I mean, he looks good.
I'd maybe look at David Hanko. It's where the trade go. 7 goals. 7 goals in 27 for Slavia Prague this season. He's a defender, I believe. David Hanko.
Just having a look. I can't actually see him at the moment.
There we go.
No, there we go. He's a defender. 4.5 million.
Is he? Oh, there's another one there. You might have a little look at him.
12. Goodness me.
Yeah.
0% ownership as well. There we go.
It's a tough group for Slovakia. Poland looks strong. Spain, they're not what they were, but they'll be all right. And Sweden as well. Should we move on to Spain?
Yeah, let's do it. The
country that is home to 1,500 types of wild mushroom.
Okay.
Only 45 of those are considered worthy of eating.
Is that right?
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, you really are the man for the facts today, Phil. The most random of facts.
So, look, I'm going to put it out there, lads. I don't think that I would go too hard on Spain to start with, because I think, from what I understand, they've got a real struggle in terms of breaking down a defensive block. A little bit like if you've been to Dean Court in the last few seasons. They struggle up against defensive teams, and I think that in most of these group games, teams are going to sit in against them. They're actually better when teams open up and they can play through them. So perhaps in the latter stages, they will qualify, I'm sure of it. Perhaps in the latter stages, that's where you look at some of their more attacking options. Interesting. Who do you think is going to play in goal, lads, for Spain?
Yeah, that's up in the air, isn't it?
Well, I'll tell you.
De Gea?
You say De Gea, Phil?
I would like it to be the Brighton keeper, but I don't think it will be.
That's going to be
Sanchez.
It's going to be Unai. It's going to be Unai Simon.
Yeah, 5 million, 1% ownership at the moment.
There you go. People are making the mistake. Yeah, don't go back to De Gea. I know he's priced more, so people are going to assume he's going to play. He will not get the nod, lads. You heard it here first.
Okay.
In terms of starters at the back, no Sergio Ramos this tournament.
No.
So Laporte will probably start. Azpilicueta unlikely to start. I would look at his replacement as an option. Llorente, 12 goals and 11 assists from right back in the Liga this season. How much is he?
4.5. They're joint.
What the heck?
their joint lowest price defender. With
I'm writing
Torres
that in
and
big
Garcia.
letters on my sheet. He's coming in. He is coming in. Wow. Llorente, 4.5 mil.
Bargain.
The other one that's
there are two Llorentes for Spain, though. One is a midfielder, and I'm not trying to suggest you got your facts wrong here.
I haven't got my facts wrong.
I am filtering by defender, Philip. It is definitely Llorente defender. 4.5.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I've got my stats right.
Cool.
The other one that's likely to start and will come good for some points, I think, is Ferran Torres.
Yeah,
he is 8 million, their highest price midfielder.
There you go.
11% ownership on him. Scored a hat trick at the end of the season for Man City against Newcastle. He was on form at the end. Could be one to look at.
Yep.
I'm not sure we should judge players on if they've scored against Newcastle.
Okay, harsh but fair.
But, yeah. Okay, then let's move on to the last country in the group. The first country in the world to ban smacking. It's Sweden.
Okay, Sweden. I've got some Sweden. Okay. They only lost once in qualifying, and that was to Spain. There's no Zlatan. So, back from the World Cup qualifiers, he's not. He's not here. Young lad by the name of Isaac up front. He scored 15 goals in La Liga this season. He's a big boy, threat from set pieces. If they're going to score goals, it's likely to be Isaac. Is Isaac there?
He is indeed. 8 million euros, 2% ownership.
Yeah, it feels quite pricey, but he might be worth a look up front for them. I have nothing else to tell you about Sweden.
I'm so upset that Zlatan got injured.
Yeah, that is so annoying.
It would have given me, another country to cheer on, and it just he's showbiz, isn't he? He's just so exciting to watch. I'm gutted. Absolutely gutted. Okay.
Has he gone past his 40th birthday yet? He's got to be pretty close, isn't he?
I don't know if he ages. Does he, Zlatan? I don't know if like Gregorian calendar years that we use, I don't think they are actually, relative for Zlatan. He just makes up his own, and that's fine.
Indeed.
Fine. Let's move on. Group F. This is the group of death. I'm not. This sounds like the start of a rap. Unintentional. France, Germany, Hungary, and Portugal. So let's look at France, which is a country that claims to have half of all the world's roundabouts. Don't know if that can be true.
Okay.
Don't know if they've been to Swindon.
Okay. The magic roundabout.
Let's quickly talk to you about France then. A slightly conservative approach still from Deschamps, despite having all those attacking players at his disposal. You've got Mbappe, who's been in incredible form on a domestic basis. 42 goals for PSG this season. And in his 5 qualifiers that he played, he scored 3 goals and he assisted 3 times. So obviously he's worth a look. He's going to be one of the priciest players on the game, man.
The priciest at 12 million.
Yeah. Actually, you might want to look, if you're looking at attacking players for France, at Griezmann, kind of the forgotten man, really, in terms of world football. But he plays in a free role just behind the striker. He was their top scorer in qualifying, and he's on their set pieces as well.
11 million for him. So
11 million.
Less than Mbappe, unfortunately.
Okay, not far off. Okay. And then in defence, if you're looking for a defender for France, because I expect them to keep quite a few clean sheets, Hernandez is actually the most prolific of their defenders with just the 3 assists for Bayern domestically this season.
I wonder about maybe the tactic in the group stages, at least, is to not have, defenders from this group, because there's 3 good, strong teams that can all score goals, and there's Hungary, who might spring a surprise. So maybe, some of those bargain defenders you've talked about, Mike, might be, better use of money in the group. What are your plans?
I'm not telling you my plans.
Excellent. Great. Thanks very much. Right. Okay. So next country, if I remember rightly, yes, it is the country that in 1928 invented the pregnancy test. It's Germany.
Okay.
What have you got about them? Because they're not what they were. I remember I was in Butlins when they got knocked. I was in Butlins with the kids watching the game when they got beaten by South Korea. Was it South Korea they got knocked out of the World Cup, wasn't it?
It was a joyous moment.
Yeah. My wife had food poisoning, and we had £40 worth of Papa John's vouchers that I had to use just on my own. Anyway, that's
bad times.
I remember that day very well. That's
3 minutes. 3 minutes left of the pod.
Okay.
I've never been so no nonsense in all my life. I feel for you because you do this sort of research week in, week out, and I prat about. Germany, they're going to play a 4-3-3 formation. Muller's been recalled to the squad. Had a sensational season for Bayern. But for me, the pick of the players, I'm going to keep this really short and simple. I would look at Serge Gnabry. He's had 19 caps for Germany. He will start, and he scored 15 goals in those 19 caps.
How much is he?
9.5 million.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like that actually. Yeah, when I've seen him in the Champions League, he's been incredible.
Yeah.
Portugal. Let's look at Portugal. Then we'll look at Hungary. Portugal, the world's largest cork producer, home to the world's largest cork forest, and produces. That forest alone produces 70% of all its cork exports.
Good grief.
Wow.
Yeah. So next time you're popping a cork, it's probably from Portugal.
Okay. Okay. Let's look at the goalkeeper. I just want to flag up that Patricio. I think a lot of people will think, oh yeah, Rui Patricio, he'll start in goal. That is not necessarily nailed on. Actually, Lopez is looking like favourite to start. I don't know how if
as well. 5 million to 5.5 for Patricio.
So Lopez is the cheaper option. Yeah.
Lopez is. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Although I wouldn't necessarily be looking at defensive assets in terms of defense for Portugal. They lack
defensive assets in terms of defense.
Well, because you can have defensive assets that you bring in that are going to score you points moving forward.
Oh, I see.
For example, Cancelo. You know,
yes,
I'd be looking at him.
6 mil.
Yeah, 3. Oh, is he? He's pricey. Yeah, 3 goals and 5 assists for City this year. So, worth a look. But actually, in goal, in defence. The trouble is their lack of defensive midfielders. So they used to play 2 holding midfielders, but Pereira, Oliveira, William Carvalho, they're all hopelessly out of form this season by all accounts. So they're actually likely to play Bernardo Silva in a defensive midfielder role, in a holding role, which actually kind of matches his tally. He only scored 2 Premier League goals this season, Bernardo Silva. What I want to warn you off, lads.
Cristiano?
No. Bruno Fernandes.
Okay.
Now, we know what an asset he's been in FPL. But for me, looking at his stats, I would say no. Let's remember that 13 of those 28 goals for United this season were penalties. And we know that Ronaldo will be on pens. So you've taken that out of him already. In his last 8 internationals, he's only had 1 assist. In fact, in all 27 caps he's had for Portugal, he's only ever had 1 assist.
Wow. Okay.
So he'll be a lot of money, I bet. How much is Fernandes? 10.5. Yeah, wouldn't touch him, lads.
2 million more than their next.
What's his ownership?
It's looking 18%. So kind of middle at the moment. But
I think that's a trap that I think a lot of people will fall into.
It's a tough group as well.
Okay, boys, we don't have time for a quiz, which is a shame. So I'm going to let you both have a guess. My last fact about the last country, which is Hungary. Hungarians love what? Hungarians love
stew.
Windmills.
Closer, Mike. Anthony, that's
goulash.
That's the Dutch. Paprika. Hungarians love paprika. That's all I've got on Hungary.
Who doesn't?
Well, I've got very little on Hungary as well. But they were the lowest scorer in qualifying, 8 goals in 10 games, and yet they're still here at the tournament.
Wow.
The only player I'd look at is Roland Salai. He's on pens. He's got 2 goals and assists in his last 2 games for them in terms of warm-up games.
6.5 million and their highest priced attacker. But
there you go.
Yeah, low numbers for them, so not looking too promising for them, especially in that group.
Well, I hope you found. I know that there was some kind of taunts of lazy journalism thrown my way, but hopefully that's proved helpful, lads. But I would say before I finish that Italy, Russia, Netherlands, England, Spain, Germany, and Denmark all have home games, and we've seen at the end of the domestic season what a difference that can make. So Italy, Russia, Netherlands, England, Spain, Germany, and Denmark. Is
that home games in the first round of games? Is it?
They've all got at least 2 of their group games at home.
Okay, yeah, that's worth knowing.
In most cases, it's 3. It's only Denmark and Russia that I think only play 2 home games. The rest are 3. There's a lot of volume around me now, guys. Crowds are gathering. Everyone wants to hear from me about my stats.
Okay, don't forget to tell them all Hungarians like paprika.
I will. So there we go, boys. Happy Euros.
Thank
you, Mike. That was very good.
Bring it on, and we'll be back next week with an update from the Euros and a bit more knowledge, I suppose. And Mike, how are you going to sing us out?
I'm not singing us out. No. This is the new Serious Mike.
Oh gosh. Anthony, do you want to hum?
No, I'm good.
There you go. There's that.
Thank you.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, guys. Good luck. Enjoy the tournament.
Bye bye now.
Thank you. Goodbye now.